Good morning, guys. First thing I want us to do is we're going to start getting our table of contents going. So you could just set it up so that it looks like this. Title, page, table of contents. Our first thing is parent functions. That's page 1 and page 2. Our next entry is domain and range, and that's page 3. Today's entry is we're going to dive a little bit into absolute value. This is going to be page 4. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to add 2 lines to our domain and range. This. I noticed that many of us were struggling to connect which goes first. So domain goes from left to right. So it's just like when you read from left to right. Range goes from low to high, so it's going from the floor to the ceiling. That's it that we're adding for that. Go ahead and turn the page. Absolute value. There's a lot of things with absolute value, so we're going to break it down into different sections. We're going to start with graphing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the simplest possible equation, the parent function. And we're going to break down what all of this means. The first thing we absolutely need to know is what absolute value means. So absolute value it just means the distance from 0. The distance from 0. So here's our steps for graphing anything. Step 1 is create a T-chart. You need 3 to 5 values. I'm going to highly recommend that you pick, this is what I would do, 2 negative numbers, pick 0, and 2 positive numbers. So I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. X value, this is my Y, but remember we're in Algebra 2, so we now use f of x, just means Y. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. I've got 5 numbers for my x, 2 negatives, 0 positives. Now you do not always have to pick this. Sometimes it's better to pick other things, and you'll gain more experience and figure that out. So we create a T-chart, boom. We've picked our values. Step 2, evaluate. Your function. at chosen values. I'm going to just make a little note. Pick easy numbers. Make it simple. So evaluate just means plug it in. So if I do f of negative 2 equals the absolute value of negative 2. Notice that I took this equation and I just plugged in the negative 2. This should be reviewed from Algebra 1. I'm drawing a number line just to help you visualize. How far the distance, if you drove from 0 to negative 2, you are 2 units away. So this takes whatever's inside and brings out a positive. Absolute value signs act as parentheses. So maybe we should write that down. They also act as parentheses. So I've got 1 point. Let's keep going. Plugging in negative 1. So everywhere there was an x, it's now a negative 1. Well, the distance negative 1 from 0, just 1 unit. Notice that this is my point. This is my x, this is my y. X, y, x, y. F of 0 is equal to absolute value of 0. Well, this one's the easiest ever. Just 0. F of 1 oh, you can't see, I'm sorry. F of 2 and yes, I will expect you to have this in your journal, your work. Okay. And these are going to be the same steps you use for basically any time you want to graph something. So we've got our points. Step 3 is plot your points. That's pretty much it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the easiest one, 0, 0. That's right here. I've got positive 1, so over 1, up 1. Over 2, up 2. This is over to the left 1, up 1. Over to the left 2, up 2. And that's the shape. Now if you remember from your parent functions, the absolute value graph creates a V shape. And that is my graph, but we just learned about domain and range, and you definitely need to be able to tell me what the domain and range are. And remember, we're using interval notation. So the domain, the arrow means it keeps going this way forever, so the x value will continue, every x value will be hit. So we're going to be going for all real numbers, which in interval notation is negative infinity to infinity. This is the same thing as all real numbers. Now the range is different. The range, it doesn't go lower than this little vertex. The peak of the V can't go lower than that. So the lowest it is 0. Oh, I made a mistake. See how that's closed? It's closed because that point exists. So we're gonna close our parentheses, and then it goes up for infinity. And that's it. Then let me show you how you're gonna do it in your assignment. That is not what I want. All right, so you should be here. We're gonna go ahead and, again, I'm gonna come in and zoom and get it bigger. Now to draw my graph, I'm just going to use this line. Now this is +4, which means it's gonna go to the right 4. So all I'm doing is I would create a t-table. Will it let me? Table. Okay. So here's my table. I'm going to fix that. Thank you. So I'm just going to move this over here. And it doesn't need to be so big. We don't need that much space. Better. So I want x, and I want f of x. Okay, we'll take a little more space. So if I plug in, I'm going to pick -4, -2, 0, 2, 4. And that's pretty simple. So if I plug in 4 right here, I'm going to get the absolute value of 8, which is 8. If I plug in 2, the absolute value of 6 is 6. Plug in 0, absolute value of 4 is 4. 2, absolute value of 4 take away 2 is 2. And that would be 0. But we get a problem. All of these, well, I'll show you. I'll show you the problem, and I'll show you how to fix it. So at -4, we're at 0. Then at -2, we're at 2. Then at 0, we're at 4. Then at 2, we're at 6. And we're out of space on our graph, so I'm going to just leave it like that. Then, but we need to know what the other side of the V is. We don't know if it goes below or if it goes above, because this is a transformation, so it's going to move it around. So I'm actually going to, instead of 4, which isn't working because we can't go 8, it's off the charts, I'm going to pick -6 and find out what's happening on this line over here. Well, at -6, I'm getting 2. So I'm taking this line, and that's what I'm getting. That's the shape. Does this let me... Ooh, arrows, even better. I'll use that on the next one. So this is good for your table. Now I'm going to just grab a text box right here. Drop down, say domain, and range. So for domain, we're going to be doing all real numbers, so negative, and I don't think that you can type in infinity without an add-on that Waco ISD has blocked. So you're just going to say infinity, and I'm too lazy, so most of us just abbreviate as INF. So INF. Open on both of them because you can't touch infinity. Now range, the lowest it can go on this one is 0. The highest it can go is infinity. And that's it. Let's do a couple more tricky ones. So I've come to the notebook so that I can show you what you're supposed to be doing. So in your journal, you're showing your work. And this is important because if you ask me to come over and check anything, or you tell me you're done, I'm going to ask to see your journal to see your work. So here, is the equation for number 2, and I'm going to show you how we figure out what to plug in. So I'm just going to make a quick table. X, and we can use y or f of x. It's the same thing. I'm going to start with what would make inside 0. So I'm asking myself, what makes this part 0? It's an E. And my answer is -4. So I'm going to take -4 and plug it into that. So I've got four take away 4 is 0. I got 3. I'm going to pick something, a couple things bigger than this number, just a few bigger, and I'm going to pick a few things smaller than this number. So I'm going to start with -6. So if I put -6 in, I've got y equals absolute value of -6 plus 4 plus 3. Y equals absolute value, -6 and 4. If I owe somebody $6 and I pay them back 4, I still owe them 2. Now the absolute value of -2 is +2. And we've got 5. Now, if you remember, if we look at the actual graph that we have, it doesn't go lower than -6, so we can't do anything there. So we're going to pick something bigger than -4. I'm going to pick 0 because I like 0, and I'm going to see what comes out. Y equals 0 plus 4 plus 3. Y equals absolute value of 4 plus 3. Absolute value of 4 is just 4. So I get 7. So 7 is actually, I'm pretty sure it's bigger than our chart. That's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. Yeah, we can't go bigger than 4. See how the 6, it's off the, 7 would be off the chart because it goes up to 6. So what we're going to do, we're just going to pick a number, some more, 2 more numbers in between this. So I'm going to pick -1 and -2. Notice that we have 0 and 4 different negative numbers. That's okay. We're just looking for useful points. Now when you get much better at this, not today, but much better at this, you won't need to do 5 points. But right now I want you to do 5 so that you can check and see if you're getting it right. It'll self-check for you. We're going to put a -1. Four take away 1 is 3. Absolute value of 3 is 3. And I've got 6. I'm going to put in -2. Oh, that's supposed to be a plus. I'm getting 2. Because 4 take away 2 is 2. And that's 5. Now all I'm going to do is put this on the worksheet, and I'm going to find the domain and range. I'm going to graph this, and we're going to make it work. So here, I'm just going to copy this, if it'll let me. It did. And then I'm going to just change it. I'm going to go -6. I like to do it in order, from left to right. It makes it easier for me. Okay. I think that is about right. So let's see what we've got. So at -6, I'm at 5. So I'm going to grab, didn't we just have, yeah, I want arrows. I want the arrow to go away off the thing. So we're at 5, that's where I want that one. Then at -4 we need to be at 3. So I need to move this to 3. Then at -2 we're at 5. -2 we're at 5 again. So I need another arrow. Oh, I don't want to change. Okay, fine, doesn't matter. Can I just have one? Oh. We're at -2, we're at 5 again. And at -1, we're at 6. So that should be right. This one I just need to adjust. That's better. So that looks right to me. I'm just going to triple check. Looks good. Notice that this +3 at the end took our vertex from here, moved it up 3, and the 4 on the inside moved it left 4. It's called transformations. It should be a quick review. So we're going to do domain and range real quick. You're going to notice that the domain is pretty much always all real numbers in here, but the range is going to flip. The lowest the range can be here is 3, and then we're good. That's it. Let's do, I'm going to do number 6 because it has a negative in front, so that's going to look a little different. So I'm just writing it in my journal. I'm going to do number 6, and then I think I'm going to do, I think number 11 will be the last one we do today. Okay. So I'm going to make my tables. Quick table. So I want to know what's going to make this part 0. That's +3. I'm going to put that in the middle. I want to go a little bit above and a little bit below, and that's it. So 3, 4, 5, 2, 1. Let's go 0, just the heck of it. Okay, pretty simple. Let's plop 0 in there. There's a negative on the outside. Well, this is just -3. 0 take away 3. Absolute value, remember that's going to turn just the inside positive. So this is like parentheses, so the negative on the outside stays. The +3 comes down, and I'm left with -2. Let's put 2 in. Two take away 3, -1. There's too many lines. Negative, this would be a positive, so we just write it down. +1, and I get 0. Let's go 3. Three take away 3 is 0. That looks like 101. I'm sorry, that's an absolute value. So you can't have a -0, it's just 0. So this is just 1. Let's go 4. That's going to be a -1 plus 1, which is 0. Look how it's reflecting. I bet you this one's going to be -2. Let's find out. Oh, it won't be because that's not the same distance. 5 take away 3, 2. Absolute value of 2 is 2. We put the negative on it. -2 plus 1, -1. Alright, we're going to take this and let's go put it on the graph. There we go. Oh, let's put undo. Thank you. Copy, Control C, Control V. Oh, I forgot. It always placed it right on top of the other one. Okay, so I'm just going to take these in. It doesn't let me, huh? That's annoying. Okay, I'm just going to put it in. 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. -2, 0, 1, 0, -1. Grab my arrow. This is the middle, because remember, see how it's reflecting? +3, 1. Okay, that's where I'm starting. And then when I go to 4, we're at 0. When I go to 5, we're at -1. So it needs to go through those points. Ta-da! Grab another arrow. I don't want to start from there. There we go. And then at 0, I'm going the other direction. So at 2, we're going to go down to 0. At 0, we're at -2. So I'm going to extend this line as across the whole graph, but make it go through those 2 points. Ta-da! Grab a text box. Domain. It's going to be from -infinity to infinity and beyond. Why is it only flipped? Thank you. And then range. Well, it goes, see how it's flipped down? It's flipped down because of that negative in front right here. So it's going from -infinity, and the biggest it gets is 1, the +1, and it's allowed to touch it. That's it. Good luck, guys. Make sure you have your work in your journal. I will be coming around and checking on it. And that's it. Have a good day.